All right, joined now by three-time Super Bowl champ Matt Light, part of the Light Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you handling things during this quarantine?
It's like being on the permanent vacation that everyone wants to have, right? I mean, it's been tough, I would say, for my daughter more than anyone else in our household because she's graduating from Foxborough. She's a senior,
Yeah.
and she was really looking forward to the music program and all the things that she's into with her friends and the dance and all the things that you do as a senior. And when that can't happen, I mean, you can't make up for it.
Yeah.
So the realization has just been tough. But other than that, everybody's good, everybody's healthy, and we're doing great.
Glad to hear it. All right, we're going to talk some Patriots and stuff, but first we have to talk about this incredible offer you guys have at the Light Foundation. You're always doing stuff with the Patriots. Now your buddy Tom Brady's playing for the Bucks. He and Gronkowski. So tell us about what you guys have going on.
Yeah, we launched GameDayTampa.com. And if you go to GameDayTampa.com, you'll see a package that is pretty special. And for me, it kind of hits home because when I left my high school in Ohio, I went to Purdue, and we had a quarterback there named Drew Brees who was okay. He's not really tall enough to make
All
it
right,
in
yeah.
the NFL, but he did okay. And I was just the most fortunate left tackle in the history of the game. Playing for a guy like Drew Brees, and then coming here and being around Drew Bledsoe, and then of course Tom Brady. It takes everything to another level when you're around greatness. And so we were sitting here thinking, we can't raise money through the Light Foundation. We can't do a lot of the things we normally do. And so many other nonprofits are in the same realm. What can we do?
Mhm.
And I thought, I'm going to reach out to these guys and see if we could put together a great package. So at GameDayTampa.com, the package includes your airfare, your hotel, pregame, tailgate on the field down in Tampa. And it's all happening on November 8th. It's when the Buccaneers are going to take on the New Orleans Saints in Tampa.
Mhm.
And it's an incredible package. I mean, you're going to get to see Drew Brees and Tom Brady playing in what's going to be a huge game at that time of the year.
Mhm.
And after the game, you're going to get to go down and meet not just Drew Brees and Tom Brady, the two best quarterbacks in the history of the game, but also we're going to throw a Gronk in there. So those guys are just incredible. They're going to meet the winners, and for $10, as little as $10, you can spend as much you want. But for as little as $10, you can have the opportunity to win an incredible package.
And it's interesting because Brady and Breeze are right there on the all-time touchdown pass list. They may be exchanging that record throughout the year. You mentioned the game is in November. We're just now getting a glimpse of Tom Brady in different colors. There were some pictures surfacing of him throwing to his new teammates. Tell the Patriot fans out there, I guess be the psychiatrist. What's this morning gonna be like when they see him with a Bucks uniform this fall?
Yeah, it's going to take a while to settle in. I mean, I'm trying to wrap my own mind around it. We took the field for so many years. I was fortunate to play with Tom and everybody else here in New England for 11 seasons. And we really embraced everything that is the Patriot way. I mean, we worked hard, we had a little bit of fun, we won a lot of games, and we accomplished things that we put so much effort towards. And so you think about it, and you say there's no way it could be anything but what it's been. And now he's in Tampa Bay, and I think for so many of the fans it's going to take probably half the season to realize that it is what it is. But I'm actually a little bit reinvigorated with the NFL now because I want to see. I'm like so many other fans. I want to see, what does Tom Brady Tampa version
Mhm.
look like compared to what we've seen here in New England for 20 seasons? Is it going to be vastly different? I doubt it. But will he be able to, factor in a few little nuances and little things that he couldn't have done here, but he can do down there? So it's going to be a very exciting season, that's for sure.
I know you've been asked this 1,000 times. Did you have an inkling he would leave New England prior to his decision? And have you talked to him, obviously, through this foundation charity event since then about the decision?
Not necessarily about the decision. The decision, for him took years, right? People started talking about, well, is there a rift? Is there a reason that, the contract seems to be going a little bit different than what it's done in the past? Is there a reason that he's making these moves or he's selling this house or whatever? I was fairly confident that his time here was over, but I was holding out hope that there may have been a last minute decision or a last minute conversation that would have kept him here. Ultimately, for him, he's put in all the work. He understands what it takes to win at a high level. And I think he wants to just kind of challenge himself in a new way. And that's what I gleaned from him in our conversations leading up to this time. And I'm expecting to see him very excited and energetic about where he's at. Not that he wasn't excited about being here, but every now and then you have to kind of recharge yourself and reinvent yourself if you're going to keep going at the pace that he goes at, which is about 100-mile-an-hour every day, all day.
Yeah, he has a new incentive, and so does your former coach, Bill Belichick. On the same token, do you think he is reinvigorated? Obviously, your '08 team won 11 games. They did pretty well during Brady's Deflategate suspension. Do you think Bill Belichick is sort of getting ready to go this year with something to prove, if someone who has 6 Super Bowl wins has something to prove?
Well, I'll tell you, and if you ask him, he's going to tell you that he has something to prove every single week, every season, every time they step on the field. Coach Belichick is trying to prove that his team is worthy of a win. And he instills that in everybody. And I know that if I was a coach in the National Football League right now, I would have somebody paying, if it's not me, I would have somebody paying very close attention to every single move that happens here in New England, because you get to see what the best coach in the history of the game does when he's faced with a mountain of adversity. It's a little bit of everything. All the coaches that left, he has to replace, and he has to have familiarity. I was coached by the same guy in Dante Scarnecchia my entire 11-year career. When he left the first time, it took about a year, but then the wheels fell off, and it was very evident how important a really solid coach, especially on the offensive line, can be. They're up against the same challenge now, right? And so there's a lot of coaches that he's going to have to get on the same page. There's a lot of young players that he's going to have to get a lot of time with to make them understand what is the Patriot way, how do they win, how do they do things here in New England. So this is a huge challenge for him, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just as much fun to watch Tommy down in Tampa. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what does Bill do, what are the moves that he makes, how's training camp going to play out, what's going to happen with this pandemic and the effect that it has on all these players. So many question marks, but a great time to be a fan of the National Football League.
Absolutely. Just a couple more here. In 2008, you're the left tackle for Matt Casso, who hadn't started a game at that point. Jarrett Stidham is sort of entering a similar situation. Your '08 team was stacked coming off an undefeated season. This Patriot team, I don't think the roster is as good, but what would you tell Jarrett Stidham about sort of integrating himself into what is the most important position on the field?
Yeah, quarterbacks, they have to exude confidence. And the way that you do that in the National Football League is that you show up before everyone else, you stay later than everyone else, and you put the work in. And you earn the respect of the people around you. He's going to have to do that. I'm sure that, that's part of the mode that he's in. He's watched what a great quarterback does to prepare for games. He's had that experience. He's been around it. He knows the system. He knows what a Belichick team is asked to do day in and day out, which isn't easy. But he's going to have a great rapport with his line as well. The line play is something that people understand. They know you have to have a good line. They know you have to have guys that, are capable. But that relationship between a quarterback and his offensive line takes time to develop. And those guys are really going to have to work hard. He doesn't have the time now, unfortunately for him, to do what needs to be done at this time, and that is developing these type of relationships. So he's going to have to hit the fast forward button and get to, a very comfortable place with the guys around him, and then just outwork everyone every day.
Do you wish you maybe played 10 years later now? You see the contract some of these linemen are getting. Now guards are getting, like Joe Tooney's making $14 million this year.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I think everybody said it. The guys that, were there playing the game right before I got there would say the same thing that I would say now, and that, man, you guys have it made. And it's an incredible time, to be in the National Football League, because there is, just a great demand for that sport. It can all change in a heartbeat, though. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, with all the changes that the world faces today and what that's going to look like. But it is a great time to be a player now. And look, if I had to come back, I would say this. I think, and this is no offense to anybody playing right now, but the game is so different today than it was just a handful of years ago.
Yeah.
And I pointed out in this way, when I came here to New England, we had John Abraham for 2 games, perennial Pro Bowler. I had Aaron Schobel for 2 games every season, perennial Pro Bowler. And I had Jason Taylor, a perennial Pro Bowler. That was 6 of our 16 regular season games. And it didn't stop there. The Dwight Freeneys and the Mathises in Indianapolis, who we played almost every regular season, and then, of course, in the postseason. And so many other really good rush-ins, the Sean Merrimans, the guys that, you would have to put 1 or 2 guys on every single play. They don't exist the way they used to. If you ask people on the street today, who are the premier rush-ins in the National Football League, they'll hem-haw around quite a bit. It's not like it used to be. They'll say, oh, there's that guy in Chicago. What's his name? Mack? And I'm like, no, yeah, he's a good player. But the days of old are gone. Now it's a much more technical game. And it's not – there's just not as many football playing Jessies, as Dante Scarnecchia would say, as there used to be. So doesn't mean that the line play can't be as good. It just means that if you have a really solid offensive line and you've invested in that, you'll probably do pretty well. And that's regardless of whether or not you have a Tom Brady or a rookie. Just give a guy that's serviceable, back there behind a good line, and a guy that can manage the game pretty well, put him with a Belichick staff and the work ethic that's here in New England, and I think you're going to have a pretty good season.
Remind me, what was the commercial you guys had, the whole O-line group with Brady? Was it a credit card thing or a watch?
Yeah, that goes back a bit. That was a Visa commercial back in the day, and we had the entire offensive line, and that was a fun moment.
So what was the idea? That he was paying for the meal and you guys were in your helmets or something?
Yes, it was something along those lines. It was centered around going out and him picking up the tab. I just remember that it was a union crew, and we had to take a break every hour. So whatever I remember from that, there was a lot. It got chopped up quite a bit throughout the day.
Last one, Matt. Do you think how would it be different for players playing in front of no fans, which is a probability at this point?
Oof. On one hand, as a player, once the game gets rolling, you really don't worry about what's happening outside of the lines, right? There's definitely an advantage of playing at home. It almost becomes like practice, right? Where, and even at practice, we can make it pretty difficult with pumping in crowd noise and doing all those things. But I think it would be a very odd first week of no fans, and then from there, it would kind of become normal. Guys would get used to it. It'd be kind of like practice on steroids, and you try to just go out there and envision a great crowd and great cheering, but it would level the playing field for a lot of guys, especially the offensive linemen. I mean, I hated going into an Indianapolis or going into San Diego when they were fired up, and how that stadium would rock at times. And it made it very difficult. You won't have any of that, of course. So, it basically come down to, who's going to go out there and execute the best, and you got to do it on your own. But I hope, like everyone else in the world, that is not the conversation. I hope that we can fill these stands and we can get everybody, into the Gillette stadiums of the world and have some fun playing the game that we love.
Hopefully that's the case, and you'll have your celebrity shootout. When is it? Every September here in Rhode Island?
Yeah, we're going to be September 22nd. We'll be at Addyville and hopefully, pack the house down there as well. But, we'll do it responsibly like we all should be. And, we got to get back to normal, because whether you're a foundation that, like us, that you rely on events to raise money, or you're a football team, you can't do much when you don't have the resources. So we need to get things pumping again. We need to get people back out, shaking hands, having some fun, and being around each other.
All right, game day Tampa, November 8th. That's going to be a lot of fun with your two quarterbacks, Drew Brees and Tom Brady. All right, Matt Light, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate it. Have a great day.